This Sunday on Press Pass, a new leader takes over the Mahoning County Republican Party. Tom McCabe is elected as the party's new chairman after serving as the party's deputy director. He replaces Mark Monroe, who announced his retirement in January, and now the work begins ahead of the 2020 elections. I'll tell you what, that campaign trail is already heating up. So here with more on his plans for the party as chairman is Tom McCabe. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You know, everyone's talking about the races nationally, but when you narrow in on the state level, there's still a lot of changes that have been happening over the last several years. I want to talk to you about the fact that Mark Monroe is retiring. You're taking over his role. What will you continue? Something that he's done over his, several years in the leadership role. What will you maybe change?
Sure. Well, Mark's been a steady leader for us for the last 9 years. And of course, Mark's been involved with the local party, was involved with the local party for 40 years. So that steadiness that he brought in integrity to the position and the hard work. Mark's leaving me with a great base of volunteers and donors. Our fundraising base is strong. So I'm very fortunate to follow in someone like Mark's footstep. And Mark wasn't only a great party chairman, but he was a good friend as well. So I've learned a lot under Mark over the last 20-some years.
Will some of your goals maybe be to grow the voter base here in the area? What will be some of the initiatives that you'll work on as you take over?
Sure. Well, the big thing is really candidate recruitment. We have to go out there and recruit quality candidates, and we've had some success there. You just had a guest on your show, Ralph Meacham, who's a Republican county auditor, our first one since 1984, countywide office holder. And when you elect good people like Ralph, he didn't even have opposition last year, and that's so unusual in Mahoning County that a Republican, number one, gets elected, but then doesn't even have opposition to run for re-election.
Well, let's talk about that, because I think the conversation has really continued since 2016. I know Trump did not win in Mahoning, but he did win in Trumbull, and a lot of volunteers and supporters are still pretty outspoken. I saw that the offices were pretty busy whenever I was covering the election for the Republican Party here in Mahoning County. So, are we seeing an interest in maybe switching parties in this area? Are you seeing maybe a shift from the Democratic stronghold that we're known for here?
Well, we've been seeing that shift over the last few years. When I first started getting involved with politics, we had 60,000 registered Democrats and only 15,000 registered Republicans in Mahoning County. Today, there's 45,000 registered Democrats and there's 30,000 registered Republicans. So that gap has closed. We're still at a disadvantage, of course, and it's still a Democrat county, but we're seeing some progress being made, and we're seeing a lot more excitement, like you said, with our volunteers. Our office is still open 4 days a week, and it's still busy. People are still coming in for Trump material and local material, so it's been exciting.
And what do you make of the Democratic Party's situation right now in Ohio, where all of the statewide offices, in the last election went to Republican candidates? And I know that I reported last weekend, I had Beatrice on here and David Pepper with the Ohio Democratic Party, and they were talking about some of the struggles and criticisms of what's going on. Do you think that Ohio is going more red?
Oh, we believe so. If you look from 1994 to today, there's only been 1 year where Democrats had really a strong year in 2006. Democrats are really almost non-existent in Columbus these days. We have every executive office, we have the House, we have the Senate. Even locally, we elected Don Manning, the state rep. We elected Michael Ruley, the state Senate. And
why do you think that's happening? I know down south it is definitely strong red, but up here in Northeast Ohio it is still a mix. What do you think it is about the local candidates getting elected here in this area and across Northeast Ohio? What are they saying to the voters that's working?
Well, I do think we're getting better quality candidates than we did 15, 20 years ago. We had strong candidates with Michael Ruley and Don Manning, and that does help attract voters. And we're also seeing a shift, especially in the south and the west of Mahoning County, where it's become almost a deep red in places out there. So we're pulling very strong from some areas. We still have some work to do in the inner city and in Youngstown and Struthers and Campbell, but we're making inroads there as well.
And that works across every other urban area too. I mean, when you look at the party and how the breakdown goes with the votes, that's pretty typical. But what issues do you think are appealing to some of the voters who are maybe deciding to vote Republican?
Well, I think what we saw in 2016 when we saw that huge change of registrations, we saw where Donald Trump almost won Mahoning County. We saw last year when we had Republicans winning. I think it's an economic message. I think it's lower taxes, less government. I think you see where the Democrat Party, especially nationally, is starting to drift far to the left. I just think that our message is starting to sell with blue collar and middle class workers.
All right, and I know you're going to have a busy year, a couple years ahead here. We'll be following all that closely. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon again, but thanks for coming in.
No, thank you.
Yeah, we look forward to talking to you in the future. All right, Steve, I'll send it over to you.